Hey, Don here. Okay, well, I'm back on the gateway, new gateway to me, an old gateway. I'm not sure if it's a Pentium. I'm still not sure. Well, I imagine it's either a Pentium 4 or a Celeron. It's because it's using DDR memory, not DDR2 or 3 or whatever, Um, and it was PC 2700 that was in there. That was get throwing errors and the blue screen error. So I think it could be a completely bad memory stick. So I have some more that I pulled out of old machines. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some of that in there. Then I know known good memory. And there's me, a little machine laying on its side. Let's see. Let's go to the endoscope and get that memory out. Well, here, yeah, because I can show it up close. I had started to. I'll do that first. I had kind of thought when I was doing my test there. I'd bought new memory. Let me unplug this so I can move it around properly. This case is what my new memory came in. What I had done, I'd mentioned that before. I had found memory that you can kind of read that one. It's pretty blurry though, isn't it? The endoscope, it's kind of it's soft, or you can kind of see the pixels, but it's a lot clearer when you get up close like that. So you can't read that at all. So let's go to the other camera and. Anyway, I had bought 1 gig sticks, a kit. I'd bought a kit. This memory's been good. I haven't used it every day all day, but let me see. Computer Bay, I think it is with a K. I'll show it in a second here. But let me get let's switch over to the endoscope. Get that thing back on its charger so it'll be ready next time when I need it. I just leave all my cameras running, streaming to my network, and then OBS Studio switches between them. And the cool thing about it is it doesn't use up it turns them off. It turns off each stream, or at least to my computer. I mean, it doesn't stop the camera from remotely streaming, but it turns it off from streaming to my computer and using up my memory or my RAM or anything, my processing power. Because matter of fact, I know I needed to do something. I paused that my live stream, but I didn't. I'll flip over to the desktop for a minute and show you what I'm talking about. Well, I already closed. I forgot to close Firefox, and so it was still using up system resources. Quite, not as bad, but too much, because this was sitting here at 50% CPU. It doesn't use up a lot of RAM when you use the. Well, I'm back on. Desktop, see, but it was at 50% CPU when I had it on, and it does. I guess it just pretty much stays around in there while I'm using the endoscope. So, but I did use it for quite a long time on the last video, and it seemed, and I kind of thumbed through, skipped through the recording of it. I didn't look at the live stream, but I looked at the recording. The live stream doesn't always play back right away, so it's usually better to wait before you try to watch it back. Let me turn this thing around. Yeah, now I think I can do what, I guess I'll have to turn it the other way or something, but, oh yeah, okay. I'm live, aren't I? Sorry, I forgot. I thought I was setting up. Okay, yeah, I can't get my, I started to say, I could use the higher resolution. It would be like zooming in, but it would also be like making my machine, breaking my live stream. I can't figure out where to put it. When it's down on the, let me get it out of there. It's coming out of there anyway. You can really, I got to get a screwdriver and get it out. That little plastic thing is tougher than you ever thought plastic could be. It will hold those things, and it will cut you and get under your thumbnail. And you know how when you cut under, when you break loose your thumbnail from your thumb, that stays sore for a long time. I hate, and it do it every time. If you try to do it with your thumbnails, fingernails. Anyway, see, that's too far away, but I can hold it up there if I can get still enough. Let's see. I need to get, I kind of thought I had it figured out. Oh, I know what I've been doing. My little box. That brings stuff up to about the right height. That's still not high enough. Can't reach it. I've been using the box as a mic, part of a mic stand, and as there we go. Now I'm getting somewhere. It's even right set up. There. Okay, so this one is Kingston, and boy, they have a bunch of long numbers and not very much readable information, but at the end of that long number under KVR it says 256, so I believe that's 256 megabytes. Rest of it, I guess, is in Kingston code. That other deal on the side, just another long number. You can say ASCII in China, though. I wonder if they can't just say assembled in China. ASCII in China? Okay, I can go with that. Yeah, I can agree with that. Alright, so DM256 megabyte, 32 by 64 DDR266. Now, some of them say PC2100, PCT2700. Some of them DDR266, that's 266 megahertz. I think, you know what, I can't remember, so I'm not going to say which one, 27 or 2100 is, if it's 266 or, I can't remember the other megahertz. I know there's lower. I believe there's, well, actually, they're going to be lower or higher, but what's the most common that you usually see? Can't remember anymore because it's been too many years. I used to know this kind of memory pretty well because it was what I used for probably the longest period of time than any, because I had that Pentium 4 for a long time. I built my first machine as a Pentium 4. It was a first international computer. Wasn't really made in the USA. I think it was. They bought the ports. They bought the ports, most of them in Japan and a lot of them in China, and then assembled it in the USA, or some of them in Japan and a lot of them in China, and then assemble it in the USA. But anyway, that was better than, say, like the BioStar motherboards I bought. One of them I thought went bad, and they said, "Oh well, it's out of warranty." I still had like a long time left on my warranty. And they said, "Oh no, the warranty doesn't start when you buy it. It starts when we manufacture it." I was like, "What?" And luckily, it turned out it wasn't bad, and it was the switch on that machine I was talking about. It was a switch the whole time. I thought the motherboard had gone bad. And so anyway, that memory, I'm going to put it in there. And yeah, in America, I mean, you just don't expect stuff like that. But when you start, yeah, ever since, everything comes from overseas, in America, that's completely illegal. That. I mean, no company would try to get away with something like that. Not for long. They'd be part of the, the daggum FTC, Federal Trade Communication, would go after them. They have for people doing things like that all my whole life, and at least put a stop to blatant, fraud like that. But yeah, it's just about anything goes, and the government's like, well, if you're an American company, you can't do it, but if you're foreign, oh, well, we can't do nothing about it. It's 84.6 degrees outside now on my outdoor thermometer, but the sun's probably shining on it now because it's, 10 in the morning. It's kind of cloudy, but it's 79 in Fort Worth, and I'm in Azle, which is about 15 miles northwest of Fort Worth. It's usually cooler out here a little bit. Or in my yard, it's usually cooler where the shade trees are, away from all this concrete of downtown Fort Worth. So anyway, but it may be, is it really 80 inside my room? I just switched it over. I'm not feeling as hot as I was earlier. But yeah, when it's kind of not really hot, when it was hotter, when it was 100 every day, it was 73, 74 in my room all the time. I was loving it. All right, let me get myself switched over. And then I'll put this, I'll keep on calling it a oscilloscope, this endoscope, and it has nothing to do with where the thing goes. It's a scope on the end of that. Okay. Get my little mouse and my box won't let me use my mouse up here like I've been doing. Nothing's letting me do what I've been doing, what I wanted to do here. I just realized, that's really a lot of leverage for that box to try to leverage weight, against that box. I thought, well, I'll put it all the way out here, which makes the most sense. Then that's in the way of my mouse, but I can reach around or something here. Okay. I did. Oh, and by the way, remind me in a little bit. If I have any trouble, I'm going to go ahead and put this memory in. If this machine don't work right, I need to go ahead and unplug my wireless transmitter from my. See, I have USB connectors on my keyboard over there that's on the KVM switch, and that's how this is working right now. And I actually really don't remember ever trying that. So it's working fine on my Linux machine, but XP is older and it's Windows. And it may it could be what's locking it up. It might not like it. I remember having trouble using USB adapters with PS2 mouse and keyboards with XP. So it might be a problem. All this time I could have been fighting with that and didn't realize it. So the way it's not booting up at all and light coming on and acting crazy and all that. Doubt it, but we'll see. Okay, let's go to the endoscope. Okay, now I think that's right there. Yeah, I want to cut that zip tie, and then I'll put my memory in because it's got all that water wires in my way. Tell you what, these look like a decent little set of, small set of cutters, but they won't cut that zip tie for nothing. And they're not, there's no space in them or anything. They're not. I keep them in here because they're small and they fit in this toolbox good, and I don't use wire cutters a lot in here anyway. And these little needle nose, I got some little needle nose. They're really handy for working on computers. These are bent on the end. I actually would like to have a couple more pairs with different angles of regular size for outside. But anyway, let's get this stuff in there. Okay, plugged it up. I got those RAM in there. Now, I'm going to, well, let's stay here. And I'll go ahead and move my endoscope again to where it will be on my switch, I guess, because that's probably what I'm going to fiddle with the most right now. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so we'll, okay, then nothing happened. Make sure I got everything plugged in correctly. Checking that 115 volt switch on the back. It doesn't have an on-off switch. Just has, you know, the switch. Yeah, I don't know if you, I guess you know. Most people know about that. There's a little. You got to usually use a little screwdriver or something to, or your fingernail sometimes. But it's they can switch between 115. It says 115. Sometimes they have 110 and 220. You know, I just want to make sure you know you got in America. You want 115. Yeah, that one has to go a long ways to be switched, and it says 230. We have 110, 115, and 220. I guess overseas they have 230 is their standard. That's what it says on there anyway. I was thinking it was it's probably 220, 230, kind of like here it's 110, 115. Some things say 110, some say 115. Everything will run, you know, in that range between there. Okay, so maybe the switch isn't doing anything. Or, let me look. I just had a feeling I should look. Let me switch. You won't believe it. You're gonna just laugh at me. I had a bad feeling, and that's why I don't like using those. I have some flush cutting snips out in the garage that I used to do things like that, cutting that thing off of there. When I cut that, I couldn't see, but I had gotten one of my wires in the cut off a purple wire. Trying to cut my. I looked over and over, and I thought, no, there's no wires in there. There's no wires in there. But it's so you have to mash so hard on that to cut anything, I guess, that actually the plastic is harder to cut than the wires. But so that makes me mad. I was thinking I'd put a twisty on there, but then that, you know, that's going to make me have to bunch that way down. I mean, not a twisty, but they actually hold better. Wire nut. Wire nuts hold. Some people think that I saw. It was about working on cars. I saw this video guy ranting and raving. He thinks he's supposed to be an expert for some company like Holley or something, Holley carburetors, telling you how stupid it was to use wire nuts and stuff. And you know, I discovered back in the 70s One time I did maintenance on buildings and stuff. I was being trained. I was young, 18, 19 years old. And that's when I learned how good wire nuts actually are, because I'd used them in the house. I'd seen them. I've got a couple right here to wire, house stuff. But I got me some of those, sort of say quick connectors, but the type you use in automotive, crimp connectors, usually what people call them. And used them, and you could, I don't care how well you careful you were about crimping them, they would end up falling off. The wires would just fall out of there. And he was also showing how he was purposely doing the worst soldering, not even soldering, just melting solder, saying how stupid that was. Well, if you solder a wire and do it right, it'll never come loose. It'll break anywhere else but there. And soldering on a car is really good in car wiring, as long as you insulate it well, after you're done. It's a great thing to do, or a computer or whatever. DC wiring, soldering is the best connection you can get, because those quick connectors, those crimp connectors, they're going to corrode, they're going to get resistance. And the same, you're going to get some corrosion even if there's metal inside of these twisties. These, I'm talking about these twisties, twist-on. If there's metal, see that one has a metal in it. They hold better than the plastic only ones. But if they're under the hood in a car or anywhere, they'll get a lot of water and stuff. Then they will rust, and that'll quicken the. If they're under the dash and they don't get wet, it's fine. With your radio, I used to do them on my radio. That's where I started doing it. They don't come loose ever if you do them right, and. Even under the hood, they'll last 20, 30 years. I've got them under my hood. I had them under my hood that long. I've got some in there now. I did. One thing I will say is I used to always use vice grips or something like that. Just crimp them. And real crimpers, I never bought a pair of real crimpers until 2000. Started working on cars in about 1972. Actually, I started with my mom's when I was about 12, back when in the 60s. But I don't really count that. But anyway... they do work a little better, but they still will. Well, the thing is now they're made so poorly they just break off. Forget the wires falling out. The wires won't fall out before they'll just break in half. I have a whole kit of them out there, and I was thinking, should I go get one? Because I could crimp it on either end and then, not lose any length, because I probably have one about the right size. That's a really small wire, though. Then I thought, after all that, it's liable to come loose in there on me. That's why I'm going into all that and ranting and raving. It's liable to come loose in there on me, so I think I will just. But I may want to go outside and get my. I'm spoiled ever since I got me some of those wire strippers. I didn't used to have any of those. I always just use a utility now. Yeah, I don't have any wire strippers in here. Well, those little wire cutters I just showed you, I think they need to be thrown away. That's terrible. I think I did. I almost did that one other time, but I saw it, but in a computer, I believe it was. But what happened this time is I just didn't pick up, since I'm using this scope, kind of sidetracked, and I'm thinking I can kind of see better with it in some ways, but I don't think I even had it on it at the time, did I? I don't remember. Anyway, we'll just do it this way. The way I've used to always do it. I'm not as good at it as I used to be. Ow. That thing is really sharp, too. It's a new blade. Just poked myself with the end of it. Still didn't get it all. Yeah, now watch me cut this wire in two. But since I'm in the middle of the video, I thought, well, I don't want to go out into the garage. Okay, especially since it's a live video. It's not just a... When I'm outside working on my truck and making videos, I just go get what I got to get. And usually I don't. Sometimes I carry the camera with me, but sometimes I just leave it because it's too. I'm gonna have to get up to, That's what I should have done the first time, huh? That way you can put the dull side of the knife towards the wires. I don't like to see that inside of a computer, though. But I don't want to, well, like I said, the only really good way to do it is soldering. And maybe I'll go back and do that once I figure out what's going on with this thing. But, okay, so that was a way quicker than going out there and bringing in all that stuff. Now, let's look over everything. See any more? Let's put this. Get this back in the picture there. Boy, that wire is hard to fight. Hang on. Okay, I don't see any more broken or cut wires or anything ridiculous like that. So let's see if this works. Oh, I think I unplugged it. Oh, now the green light came on again. Okay. So maybe our switch is bad after all. So there's a green light. And the fan, you know, did the little baby spin again. Could be something bad on the motherboard too. I didn't bring in that other switch because, you know, look, I have a can with some little computer parts and stuff in the switch. But the thing is, it's got my fingers in the way. But if I hold the switch in for like 4 seconds or whatever, however long it takes, longer than that, the light will go out. And then when I do that, light comes on and it just doesn't start up. So that tells me, and that doesn't make it go off though. You have to hold it in. Really, I guess I'm going to have to. If this switch is completely messed up, then the only way I'll know is to get it out of the circuit. But the fact that it does that makes me wonder. Let me get my tester. I got a multimeter sitting right here. Let me see if I can tell. If I do have to clip, I probably can't. Or maybe with 2 hands free, maybe I can do it. But I may need 3 or 4 hands. Oh, here's a test light too. Let's try that first. Let's see what happens when we mash that switch. Because this thing reacts kind of slowly. I was trying to test my horn on my Blazer, and it would react so slowly that the test light was kind of helping more. So it should work on whatever voltage this is. It's kind of more of a 12-volt test light, but let's see. Oh, I think I just made, yeah, I completed the circuit by accident because I clipped it in between, you know, the other way. I probably wasn't even on the camera. Anyway, I was that way and it completed the circuit. But the fact that you can jump that and it does exactly the same thing, see, that's what made me think that maybe it's not the, now let's see, I don't know, oops, I accidentally completed the circuit again. Quit trying to worry about showing that light in the picture so much and worry about just trying to do what I'm trying to do here. And showing this is what I want to show mostly. Might have got it in a place where it'll show anyway. Okay, now if I, oh, that completes the circuit. That's what it's doing. Okay, I see. Yeah, because that's what this is. But it just has a light in the middle, you know. Basically a closed circuit with a little bit of resistance. Light didn't come on. It's probably really low voltage. This will kind of barely glow at like, you know, 3 to 5 volts, but heck, I don't know if it's that high. But it's not wired wrong because that plug only goes one way. A lot of my other computers, some of my other computers, they have like single individual little connectors that you can put on any of those pins on that header, and they can be right or wrong. You know, you've really got to get down there with them. I had to always, I didn't be able to see that good ever since I've been working on computers. You know, I'd have to get down there with a magnifying glass and make sure all, and look at the, I'd bought, well, that blue FIC I had bought, had the diagram, the wiring diagram that came with it. And one of these, you know, if you don't have the diagram, some of them just have them on the door of the machine, but this one don't. Does it? No such luck. Okay, so put that down there for now. Let's see. Put that there, I guess. Okay, that's going to be, well, you can't see it because of the light on the thing, I guess. But anyway, I can kind of see it, so I'm the one that matters. Let's see. I don't think I can get any volt. Well, I can try and measure it when the light's on. Okay, so let's get the light on. Yeah, it does the same thing. Actually, I'd need to be, this is not positive and negative, so I'm not going to be getting anything. Wait. Am I? Maybe it is positive and negative. Maybe it's that's how it starts the machine, by shorting a particular set of jumpers. I wouldn't think so, but okay, it's just hunting now, I think. It's going negative. I know that much. The red one you would think would be the positive if it were. People always go into color codes. Man, they do whatever they want. Can't go by that. Hardly ever. No, I'm not getting anything there. So I'll try resistance. Let's see. I think I'll have to change my. This is one cool about this is an auto-ranging multimeter with little lights that light up and tell you where to put where to plug in for what you're trying to do. I don't want resistance, I want amps. Let's see. Milliamps. Okay. That's going to be, there's 2 milliamp ranges and then there's big amps. Let me see. I don't. There is one thing you got to know, and that's what, which one of those ranges you got to be in. Fuse 10 amps, and okay, 10 amp. I think that far one up there is not fused. Yeah. Okay. I've actually never used it since I've had it. I usually am doing things on cars with it. And when I'm messing with brand new electronics, I don't really need it. I don't know a lot about doing that kind of thing. I haven't done it enough. I didn't have, all I had was old analog meters all my life until a year or so ago. So these are different. And I also didn't ever do a lot of amp measurement anyway, because it's really kind of, I don't know. It's, to me, I understand it when I read about it, but see, I learned most of my stuff hands-on when I was young by being taught by people, and nobody taught me that very much. So not enough that I didn't get to do it enough to remember it. So from back in the 70s, because I got off into doing other things. I didn't do building maintenance. I quit doing building maintenance, and I was a cabinet maker, and then I was a tool maker, and then I started doing sound and video for bands and stuff. Sound for bands, video for cable TV and stuff. That was free. I didn't get paid for that. Anyway. Then I started really getting into computers in 1998. Then I started trying to learn about, embedded systems, and I wanted to learn to build my own electronics and stuff. Still working on that. Okay, now that is 0.09 milliamps, but it's showing negative, so let's turn it the other way and see if it still does that. I probably could go to that smaller scale, but I didn't want to blow it out or anything. Anyway, I'm just used to reading voltage, most of all. Is it hot or not? Most of the things I could figure out that way, because I was just trying to make something work that didn't work. I made it do something. Okay. Yeah, now it's 0.10 milliamps. The light went out. And I didn't mean to do that, but it tried to start it again. Oh, that's completing the circuit and making it shut it down. And then when I touch it, it tries to run, but it can't. So if I leave it there, it's the same thing as shortening it, or putting out a test light and shortening it with that. See, it goes out. And I didn't leg off quick enough, so then it tried to start it up again. All right, so I'm making the circuit. So my amp meter is making the circuit now. Pretty wild. But it makes me think, every time I punch in that switch, it tries to start. So it's making me begin to believe now that I almost wonder if it might have been shorted out before. I don't know. Well, really, the only thing I think for sure, I'm pretty sure about is that the internals of that switch were hanging up. The button was hanging on something, and I think it was because these were bent together, and which had bent these around. These leads that are going inside. These are the actual contacts, I'm sure. They were bent together, and so it was making them bind up on the switch on the inside there. I've seen them. I used to take switches apart and fix them. Now, even if you get them apart, you're not going to fix them, and you probably never get them back together. Yeah, back when I first started learning I used to take magnetical switches. What did they actually call those? They'd have windings on them, and they would close and open a circuit. I used to take those apart and clean the contacts and clean them up, make them work again, or just a regular switch, a toggle switch, not home light switches. When they broke, they broke. But a good, well-made toggle switch, you take them apart, clean. Usually it was just dirty contacts, because they arc when they switch on, on 110 or 220, or well, they used to use them on 220. I used to do maintenance on car washes and gas stations and stuff, and they'd use toggle switches on 220 volts. They had we had one of the car washes. It was the pumps ran on 330, three-phase, and I had learned how to deal with that stuff and work on it and diagnose it a little bit. Mostly just figure out that the switches were dirty, and after you could clean them a few times, and they'd work a few more months, and then you'd end up having to buy new ones, usually maybe a year. Once they start burning, they just keep on burning, keep corroding. Anyway, once I bent that apart, I got out of my picture. I'm trying to look at it with my magnifying glass here. Once I bent those, they were just you could barely get your thumbnail between them. And once I just spread them apart with my thumbnail, just kind of looking at them, not even thinking about it, Now that switch does what it should every time. Yeah. Yep. Oh, that wireless thing in my keyboard. Oh, never know. So I'm going to unplug it so that it can reset. Turn that off, quit wasting battery. Oh, I better put that back where I normally use it, or I'll be having a fit. It'll be having a fit at me. Yeah, okay. Okay, let me get that out of there. And turn it off so it won't be wearing its battery out. And let's see. Now, if that was causing problems, it was sending signals that was confusing because through my USB keyboard into the machine. We'll see. Since I had booted up the very first time, no, it just tried to boot again when I plugged it in, just like it always does. This time it couldn't do it. Okay, now I'm wondering if that memory. Now I can't use my. Well, I'm going to leave it like that just to make sure. Let me check my stream before I go on, but I think I'll leave it like that to make sure that that couldn't be causing trouble in the operating system, But I'm wondering if this DMO is bad, and it's not the memory, but it's the motherboard, the slot. I'll take out the first slot and see if it'll run on the second slot here in a minute. Okay. Getting to where I think I'm going to have a sinus pill. What I was thinking, I really was liking that wireless mouse. It made it so much easier. But diagnosing could be a nightmare with an extra unknown thing in there. You know what? Some machines, just especially in the XP age, do not like to boot on a USB keyboard. I have PS2s. They're plugged into stuff. They're laying there. I have one, my red, black, blue FIC, the one I'm always talking about, the first one I built. It will boot just fine and run. I don't have XP on it anymore. That's what I put on it, but when I first built it. But I have Linux. I have Fedora 22 on it or something right now. But it's fine when you go into Linux. But if you need to go in the BIOS, then it won't work half the time. It will. You can set it to work with USB keyboards, but then it will somehow. It's some reason that BIOS is always changing itself and. It will go back out and turn it off, and I know why. There's a good reason. I didn't know it for years, but the BIOS battery the connector was loose, the actual solder on the board, and it finally came loose, and I saw it. I think the whole thing I think the battery thing may be completely out of there now. I've been meaning to take it out in the garage and solder another one in there. It was weird. It was sticking up in the way of the hard drive, and I was always taking hard drives in and out of it, and he kept having to it would get hit when he was taking the hard drives in and out, and it finally knocked it loose. Actually, I heated it up and bent it over once, I think, get it out of the way. Yeah, I did. I think I did fix it once. I put a wire on it, but anyway, it came loose, and I was going to put a different one that's made to lay over and out of the way, and I never have done it. So it may not have one in it at all. So anytime the power goes off, power loss, it resets the BIOS back to, defaults. So anyway, that's not what I'm thinking about. Supposed to be thinking about. I was going to stick this up in here and look it over. Okay, let's do that. Let's get this. I'm going to look it over best we can here. And, okay, so, there's my Vodge job. Actually, that's, like I said, it's really more secure and would last as long as you want it to, like that, where to go. You would really have to try it. As long as the trick I've learned is don't just try to get a hold of the wires. Make sure the wires are at least a half inch long or so, and make sure you're but not too long. Let the wire nut screw onto the insulation. It will hold that. It'll break the wires off, but the insulation is tougher. Let the wire nut screw onto the insulation, and then tug on it, not too hard. And if it's pretty taut and it's not coming out of there, then it'll stay. And they don't twist off on you or anything. You can leave them as long as you want, really. If they're safe enough for 110 volt, they ought to be safe enough for DC. I finally realized that one day. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I'm just going to get in here. I can't be by my mic and look, so I'm going to get in here and look it over real good. Well, that connector going to the front panel entered my mind, and the modem. When a modem's bad, it'll make machines not start and stuff. I'll go ahead and unplug that. But it was running and it had a memory error. Now it's still doing the same thing with 2 memory sticks in it. Let's do like I said. Let's try 1 memory stick at a time. I've got these 2 that should both be good. But, if maybe they don't work together, I got them mixed up when I took them out of the machine. Because there is that one that I can't really tell for sure what exactly the speed of it. Really, I've always been able to mix speeds of those. Some of those DDR2s, you couldn't mix speeds. Few machines you couldn't do that in. I ran across. That back one didn't want to go in there, but usually they beep. They don't all beep at you, but that back one I had to really push hard to get it in. It did finally snap in. It almost fooled me. I thought I had it in and I didn't. Let's try that. A lot of machines won't boot. I was just wiggling on the it's doing the same thing. I was just wiggling on the VGA cable and it made a little noise in the speaker and tried to start. But a lot of them won't boot on with one engine. It has to be in DIM 0. It can't be in DIM 2. But yeah, doing the same thing. So now I'm thinking, well, of course, unless it's a motherboard. But I'm kind of thinking, well, that was the 256 DDR 266. Let's put that other one back in the DIM 1. I didn't unplug it that time. It's usually, I'm sure it's best, but I have done it many times over the years, just swapping memory. You really, there's a lot of things you could just burn everything up if you got it plugged in, though. Nope, same thing. But I do think the switch is responding properly, and since I've jumped it 100 times, and I get no different response, you have to hold it in. When they're not working right, you do have to hold them in a long time, a lot of times to get them to go ahead and shut down, though. Just barely touching it made it try to start. I don't know, maybe it's the switch all along. Maybe I was right to start with. If I keep on doing the switch, it doesn't do anything. But I was trying to push it in and hold it, and my finger kind of slipped, and it tried to start again. Okay, there's the light. I was watching the wrong light. I'm watching the little green one on the motherboard by the fan. I don't know if you can see it in there. I think it's back there out of the picture. That's one. Plus that light shining down in there. But I'm gonna swap these memories. Put them both in there, but swap them. Oh, it tried to come on before I got down there to hit the switch. So it's trying to come on. But it could be that the BIOS was set to always come on, you know, why it's doing that. But it still ain't coming on. Yeah, usually, I guess I had been getting down to that switch quicker, but I was standing up and I had to sit down and get to work, get to it. So, but it'll always go back off. Yeah, that one memory stick, it must have been a little bit. It's a little big. It's just tight going into the slot, and you have to really line it up perfectly, or it won't slide down in there. It's a little long, and I think it's a little thick. I'm gonna take the modem out. That's one thing that I've seen very often, especially if the modem's bad. That's a USB 1, that's what it says. Modem. I showed a while ago, if you saw me looking inside those plugs, I was looking to see if any of those connectors had been messed up and were shorting out. You know, they're not. That's what had happened on one of the other machine, is the VGA card had connectors bent and shorting out. It actually had I think it had a header on the side of it. Let's see, let's go ahead and try. I didn't unplug it that time. Usually I do when I do something like that. Didn't do anything. This one's kind of getting to be puzzling. Let me get over there and look at that switch and see if there's a way to take it apart. Well, I checked all the connections I could see that could have been crossed or anything. Nothing was wrong. They all got dummies on them where you can only plug them in right, which is good. Let's see, modem. I think I just put it back. It ran, when I first plugged it in. So being back, the only thing is I thought, well, memory could be bad, but I don't know. I'm debating about. I don't. As far as I know, that other memory was good. I usually write on them and put stickers on them and stuff when I'm having any trouble with them. So. Yeah, I'm gonna get I'll leave it plugged in so I won't lose whatever BIOS settings it has. Then again, maybe it'd be best to let them reset, but let's just leave it like that for now. I only remember old machines not starting with a bad BIOS battery, but let's check it and see if. Get out of here. Okay, I'm just gonna check it right quick, and if I have anything to show, we'll show it. Let's see. One thing I hate about digital multimeters that all they do is hunt till they get something, so you can't tell what the hell's going on until you get something. You got to get them in exactly the right place to be able to read the screen. Let's see. Okay. I think it is dead. Yeah, it's millivolts. That's where it throws me off. Yeah, it's you gotta. It's my little probes are so tiny, so short and sharp. It's really tricky to get them even just on a battery like that. Well, let's find out. I've got more. Let's see. This one is a 2032. I'll try to get a 2032. I think the only difference in the like 27s or whatever, they're a little bit thinner, I think. Got them right here. Okay, so let's see what I got here. There's a couple in there. Oh yeah, they've been marked with how many volts are on them. I got new ones, but this machine may not ever go into production, so there's a 2025, 2.9 volts. Let's see what this one is. I'll check them before There's a 2025 as well. Maybe I won't have anymore. 2.99. Let's see which one's got the most in it now. Can't hold on to them. Oh, that one, the middle number, I think it's 0.9 volts. 2.99, that's basically 3 volts. And these are 3 volt batteries, so let's see. I'm getting really tired of not having my wireless mouse. Let's see. I could plug it. Oh no, the reason I plug it in there is because my machine doesn't have any more. Okay, so turn this back on again. And let's see what this one got for me. $2.895. And what's this other one like? You know, it could be that. You never know. My old red black BIOS starts and runs just fine as long as it has power, but it just loses BIOS settings. 2.914. 2.9145. Guess it's one. I forgot what the other one was already. Doesn't matter. They're both very close. They should be fine. Some of the battery housings, it matters if they're thinner, because 2.89. 5. Because let's put that one in there, I guess. 4914895. No, let's put the other one in there. Because you know they have something on the top and the bottom, and it's like the distance matters. You know, the thickness matters. But I've got some batteries in there in an odd place. I try to keep them all. Let's look at this other one one more time and make sure it really is dead and I didn't just see things wrong. Okay. You can see that all that light's washing it out, isn't it? Well, that's where you could see it a little bit. Yeah, just millivolts. So I'm going to throw it away right now before I get them mixed up again. And that one really is 2.915 volts, not millivolts or anything like that. Okay, put that lid on that battery box before I dump them out. I had that in there in a real good way, and now it's not in a good way. I don't know if these two batteries are just thrown in here or what. If you let them start laying around on each other, they can short out on each other. So I guess it'd be better to have them in with these others. I think these. See, I save used ones and mark them until they get too old to use for anything at all. But like little flashlights, you might as well use them as long as you can. But some things they won't work at all, you know, unless it's the right enough certain amount of voltage. Well, I don't know. It's the other one wouldn't bounce at all. Now the other one bounces because it's just thinner. But the crazy thing is I don't really know why it's doing that. I'm trying to use that to see it and do it. So I guess the spring was just tighter. I couldn't hardly get that other one out of there. Let's just see if it'll start. Got power and everything. No difference. Let's see if holding that battery in makes any difference. Nope. I don't think that's got anything to do with it, you know, not starting now. See if I do have any. I don't know if I have any at 2032s. Oh wait, I think I do. Now those are 2025s. I got a couple of brand new ones that haven't been pulled out of the package yet. Sometimes they don't, you know, I usually order the cheap, you know, a bunch of them at once that are cheap. Oh, there's another bag of stuff, bag of tricks. And, you know, usually you do good, but sometimes they come with some bad ones, and like 2 or 3 bad ones out of 20 or something. That might be a 2032, yeah. I may want to try that just to see, but I also may have one in here that's a used one in this. It says it has 3 volts. What battery is that? I usually always keep them all in the same You know, I don't put them in a bunch of different little spots, but I've been getting a little, well, mostly I was just not getting them into this battery box, and then you know, they were in other places, and then I would finally gather them up and put them in the battery box. And they would end up, let's put this back over here. Anyway, they'd end up kind of getting mixed up. I don't think it matters. Yeah, laying it down don't help, and y'all can't see it no matter what I do. So, I mean, I could work really hard at getting it aimed at the camera, but I'd have to adjust that light, and that's actually really hard to get to do it. And then when I want to go look in the computer, I can't do that. So, I'll just do subpar video instead of doing it right. Well, it takes, you know, I mean, when you're doing it live, you know, you're showing everything you do. That actually shows up. You can just almost read that, can't you? I thought it might, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know till I turned it on. And I can read it good now. Let's see what we got. 3.128 volts. Now that's a new battery right there. I think that might be a 2032 as well. Yep, I'll put it in there. That must have been why it was off in another sec. And there's a 2032 that I haven't taken out of its thing yet. So that's what I'll do. I'll take that one back out. Made no difference, but didn't think it would. But what if it did? You know, that one doesn't fit loosely, and it's got a little more volts in it. So can't figure out why it's doing that. I'm gonna stand it up. Looking at it this way and see if there's something I see. I think I'll turn it. I've been thinking about this. Oh. I'm about to break my Ethernet cable. It's one of those kind that was encased in a rubber protector for the clip. But it broke a long time ago, and now it's... One of them did break and quit working, and this one's still working, but I'm going to leave all that loose, disconnected. Let's see. Let's go ahead and unplug it, too, so that it can reset. I thought I would turn... I was thinking about... Well, a while ago I was thinking about putting the original memory back in it with one of these other sticks, like maybe that one that's not so hard to get in and out of there. But first, I was wanting to see if I could turn this tripod. It's not going to work. I realize now. I turn it back. Yep, that's as high as it'll possibly go. So now it's. I need more light. Now I can reach the thing. Yeah, if you turn it up all the way, it just washes out the picture anyway. But that doesn't actually aid me at all. I thought it might, you know, and looking around in it, maybe I'd see something with this camera that I don't see normally. One of my biggest challenges these days is I can't see good enough even with magnifying glasses anymore. I just don't get it. I mean, that thing just booted right up. Could be the power supply. I haven't even mentioned that, have I? I've been thinking about it for on and off for the last 10 minutes. I guess. A lot of times I'll try that before I try all this other stuff, but the switch acted so weird. That's why I went straight for the switch. But I can get the switch to this. I keep thinking, well, maybe I should, you know, I don't want to cut those wires, then they have to be soldered back unless I think the switch is really bad. And I can plug it in and see if it would start without any of the other cables to make sure none of that was causing trouble, like the USB or something. Now, where's that? I'm going to have to turn it on or back around. And show the switch, I guess. Same thing. Yep. But see, the switch is functioning, at least if it's not functioning just right. I'm not sure, you know. It's just a 2-wire switch. You hit it, it tries to start, but it can't. Light stays on. And then hold it in, shuts it down. If you hit it and it tries to start and it can't, and you try to do the reset, it does nothing, which is normal when one's hung up like that. Okay, let me switch. Okay, so let's just go like that for now. Let's think about it a minute. What other ideas have you got? Getting tired now. But I hate giving up until I figure it out. It booted up, so you know it's not like, you know, hard drive jumpers or any of that stuff. It ran, just was raining really bad, like either it, well, it only had 256 megabyte of memory. You can expect it to be pretty sluggish. But, you know, I did run XP on 256 megabytes, started out on that. Might have started out on less, and I think that's what I had when I first started. And then I got up to 512, and that's all I had. Memory was expensive, and that's all I had until mine ended up with like 768 or something. I think that blew off. I see it has 3 slots in it. It might have 4. Anyway, I never got a 2 gig. You know, the max it would hold is 2 gig, and that's what I did with all these other old machines I already had. Is I bought 2 gig, 1 gig, you know, a set of 2. That little package that I was showing a while ago. A set of 2 gig, you know, 1 gig stick, 2 1 gig sticks, and each one is maxed out at 2 gig. Finally, after all these years, and I really don't use the machines much anymore. I thought I might use them for rendering videos, but they make too much noise and heat, and they're right here where I sleep, so I can't stand that. They make it too hot in here, too much noise, it wakes me up. And, you know, they would make good servers, but servers are really only good when they're quiet and don't make a lot of heat. That IBM over there, I put 2 gig in it, and it's a single core 2.5 or 2.8 gigahertz Celeron. It's a great server because it has just enough power to be a decent server, but it's not loud and it doesn't make a lot of heat. And all my Pentium 4s and stuff, which are actually, you know, a little more powerful, faster, you know, processors than a Celeron. You can tell the difference. they're like my opinion for the first one I had, it was 2.4 gigahertz. And, 2.4, 2.5, 2.8, that's pretty close. So you don't really notice. I haven't done any comparison tests, but I used it for many years on XP, and then I went to that was the first machine I put Fedora on, Fedora 5, and I went all the way up to 14 on it. It ran 14 was beginning to give it a little bit too much work. And now I have 22 on it, and you could render a video, but I did it. It took almost 24 hours to render like a 1 hour video or something, one and a half hour. But it can't play YouTube videos or anything. It just can't keep up. And it's got a real video card, an external, not external, but not on board. It has it's an AGP video card, and it's 64 megabytes. It's just not enough to, watch a YouTube video. You can play it, I think, on small, but when you do full screen, it just starts lagging and not keeping up. And that's the way they all are now. All the other older ones are. Even no matter what kind of video card. I mean, I think I might have one with like 128 megabyte video card or something like that in it, and it's a little better, but it can't do it. It has a DVI. I know it has a DVI output on it and a VGA. And I used it in the living room on the TV. I used a converter to go to HDMI, and then just ran the audio straight to the speakers, to the audio. Have a little or a big sound bar, a real nice one. But in there. So anyway, why am I talking about all that? I think I'm out of ideas on this thing. Well, I think that looking at that switch a little closer might be something that could be helpful. If I want to turn it out this way more, I want it to be where I could get it in the video if I'm gonna under the thing if I'm gonna do that, but let's get over here and just look at it. I was looking at something sticking out. That's just that heat shrink that's kind of split and torn. Oh, I see. There is another, what looked like it could be another connector, but no, I don't think it was intended to be used. Yeah, if I was going to use my scope camera for inspecting stuff, I would need to like do what I'm going to do on the truck or plug it into the laptop. And if I'm going to record the video, but I record it just to a local file, not try to stream it. Well, I tried to put OBS Studio on the laptop and Debane 8, and I couldn't get it to work. I probably wouldn't have ran it anyway because I tried it before when I had Fedora on there and it couldn't keep up. But yeah, it's a dual core with 3 gig RAM. It can't keep up with Fedora 25, and I think I'm going to go to 26 now on my newer machine. But the older ones, I'm just having to. I don't want to run the older Fedora because then my browsers won't be updated. So I got Debane 8 on it now, and it's doing fine. And I I run the web browsers. Actually, it had an older version of Firefox, but I just run it in portable mode and let it update itself automatically, and it gets the newest version that way. But I don't know if this switch will even come apart. That's what I was kind of wondering. Oh, I see where you might stick something in these holes here. I can't, with my tripod, I can't really get in that pic. Get to switch. I can get to, you know, I had the switch in the picture all this time, and you might have been able to see all this stuff. I'm just now beginning to really see because I got it where I can see it. It looks like maybe if I slid something very thin into these two holes on the either side of my soldered connections, I might be able to pull the front off the switch, but all that's really going to do is probably help me lose the spring. And I mean, I'd get to see if what the contacts look like. But I can tell they're making contact because, oh, it's plugged in, because it's trying to run. I didn't realize I had it plugged in. I keep forgetting how I have it. It's sitting there trying to run. So it's not even really making any noise. If I don't have the speaker plugged in, I don't even hear that noise, you know, of it trying to start. So I didn't think it was any of my USB or any of that stuff because it didn't bother it the very first time I plugged it in. But what changed? That's what I don't understand. What changed? Ran off the hard drive. I mean, I could unplug the hard drive. Now, I did notice once, didn't mention it even. Let me change my. I did notice once that the put this camera back up here where I can show what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can make it show that. Right there, that is the IDE cables. They're just kind of laid over and plugged in. And earlier I was checking. Well, it has done it again. It's just pretty loose. The second one. Which one is that? I don't know if that's the one that goes to the hard drive or to the. That's the one that goes to the. It was kind of. I pushed down on it and it went down enough that I could really notice it. And I thought, oh, that could have caused a problem. Of course, if there was something wrong with the DVD drive, really wrong with it, then if it wasn't connected, it ran, and then when I connected it, it didn't run, you know, like that. But it wasn't pulled up. It was only up a little bit on one end. Now it's not doing it. Whoop, there it goes. Yeah, you can pull it up. And usually they have to come straight out, but you can pull one end up. It's probably one of those. Some of them are really rounded on the end. Of course, I could kind of... Oh, that wasn't plugged in very good. I could kind of tell by... You know, it won't try to run with it unplugged. I unplugged the power from it to make any difference. If anything needs to reset, it won't do it with it plugged in. So. I think I will look and see that they're plugged in the right places. Oh, I'm trying to unplug the power to the hard drive. It don't want to come out. Oh, wow. see if that's some pliers on it. Let's turn my camera around and try to show. There's not too many places where I can actually make the camera show what I want to show. Oh, it's getting crooked on there. There we go. It's got a different look. It's like it has a cap on it instead of it being molded in one piece like most Molex connectors are. So I'm kind of, yeah, they're like, well, maybe they're not. Maybe it's just the way it looks. It looks like it's a cap. My machine's unplugged now, so. Just a hard one to get off. Can't really tell if that's the case. Yeah, it is. It's a fold-over snap-on cap. Oh, I see. I think it's a regular Molex, but it has some sort of... It's a snap-on cap. It's like they put the wires in there and then snap this cap on it. They could come all the way out the other side if that cap wasn't on there. I think that cap's what makes them stay in there. It's kind of a quick connector. But I'll plug it in. Let's see if it tries to come on without the hard drive. Same thing, same old, same old. Sharp edges, it makes you think you're getting shocked when you squeeze that, but it's just a sharp edge. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I want to see where the jumpers are on it. I'm sure it's in the right place because it came on before. But it's on the third one over, next to the last one, away from the... Can't remember if that's master or cable. Well, it depends on the hard drive if that's master or cable select. But we have power. Ow. I believe we have switched. Good switch too. I just see it. It quit acting crazy, quit sticking ever since I've messed with it. I guess. I don't even know if I have another power supply that works. Well, I have one in these. Well, yes, I do now because I got those old Pentium 3s that I wouldn't really use. I think that one of them has like a 240 watt power supply that I could put in here. I'm not going to do that today. I'm ready for a bath. I've been up since about 7:30 last night, so it's 11:37, almost noon the next day. So now I'm just getting really tired. But there are no, I didn't really mention it, but I really did look several times at all the caps on this thing. There's no blown caps or anything, or leaky caps, capacitors. Kind of want to put this switch back together, but it was pretty tricky to get it apart, so I kind of would rather wait and see. I mean, if I'm going to have to replace it, I don't want to have to dig it all apart again. I'm just afraid I'm going to completely break it moving it around. Debating about whether I should do that, or I was thinking I might take the power supply out. It's easy to do. And look at it and see if it has any bad caps. If it does, then well, that'll tell me right there. But flipping it all around and around and messing with everything, I'm afraid I'm going to cut some more wires off with the case, sharp edges on the case, or break this little switch completely. I think I'm going to put it back in its slot. It's not impossible to get out. Let's see. I guess I could get on the camera. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired, aren't I? So let's put it back in its slot. It's really going to be easy to get back in that slot. I knew that. And see, I don't think it's plugged in. I'm just going to hook everything else back up again one more time. Now, I'm going to put the, if I'm going to put it back in there, I do want to put some, not super glue. Of course, silicone would be the best thing, but that doesn't dry for a long time. Makes a noise in the speaker because I got the speaker plugged in. But, it feels fine. It responds like it should. So I think I will get my hot glue gun out and put a little hot glue in there. It does suffice in a place like that where it's not. After a while, it will end up letting go, but it'll keep those from getting together again, like they were. I don't know why someone put hot glue on it with them that close together. If it's a power supply, then, you know, I mean, yeah, I could take one out of one of those other machines. If it's the motherboard, then oh well, you know. But I do know everything actually worked for a little while there. So I do have those two memory sticks that I'm not 100% sure they match up in there. I tried them by themselves, though, and it didn't make any difference. One of those would have worked. I'm pretty sure both. I know both of them actually did work. No, they did. As far as whether or not they were in the same machine, you know, together, and they worked together okay, that's what I'm not 100% sure about. Let me get my hot glue. Okay, we'll get this plugged in. Yeah, that's one cool thing about them. You can just, I don't even remember why I got it. Had it for years. Used it once or twice and didn't use it at all. And then when I started realizing you could use them for things like this, that's all I've really ever used it for anymore. Okay. That's just too bright, isn't it? There we go. Now that ought to be good enough. Now, how long does it... Oh, yeah. It doesn't heat up till you pull the trigger, right? It's long. Okay. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you have to let it heat up for a while. I think you have to let it heat up for a while. And then when you pull the trigger, it starts melting it because it's not doing anything right now. I need a drink of water. Yeah, probably will heat up here in a minute. Okay, so. Yeah, those Pt2s that I could rob some, a power supply from there out in the garage. Of course, I could really just take them out there. Oh, they're heavy as all get out. Both of them. Well, actually, one of them is one of them in it. Yeah. One of them's that one I call the gamer PC because it has a handle on top. It's a Pt2. We used to mess around with it. It has Fedora 12 on it. I put Fedora. It had XP and Fedora 12. 2 different hard drives. I think I took both the hard drives out of it. Then there was another one that had a little bad hard drive in it and a 250 gigabyte hard drive that was good, but it had never been formatted or had anything installed on it. I brought that in. Yeah, this thing's taking a while to heat up. Hadn't used it in a while. Should have went and got some of my RTV red silicone for the truck, squirted it on there, and then closed it back up, and it would have dried and been fine. Almost wish I'd have done that now. Because I could put it on there. It's not going to touch anything. Well, it could touch the case, possibly, if it got bent. It shouldn't, but it's down in there. I mean, it's got like a 1/8 of an inch or more down to it. I don't think they could touch the case, but silicone would be better because it's a good insulator and it's flexible. This stuff's not flexible, so it always cracks loose. It breaks loose. Oh, I'm not showing what I'm doing yet either. This thing is really, it's starting to get hot now. Just not going to come out till it gets hot enough. I think I always remember now I'd leave it heating up and then it'd start leaking out the tube and then I'd go, oh crap, because I didn't want it going getting all over stuff, And I guess that's how you know it's working. Let's see. I was just going to put that back on. And then I was going to yank the power supply out of it and open it up and see if it looked like it had any bad caps or anything. This is the only good way that I've got to test the power supply. I mean, I can stick my voltmeter in these with it lit up like that, but really, unless it's trying to run, unless it's actually, I could try it, but I probably won't get 12 volts on any of this stuff because it's not really starting up. But if they will run and at least get in BIOS, then the BIOS will give you really accurate measurements of what everything's putting out, every rail of the power supply. So, this will dry. This junk, if it'll start working, it'll dry fast. And I have some. Well, I've got that RTV for the truck, which would be fine. Even handles heat and gas. And then I have some latex silicone mix, but I wouldn't really want that on here. Pure silicone would be great. I don't know if I have any of that that's already open and ready to go. I think it's starting to melt now. I didn't know it took so long to heat up. I guess it's been an awfully long time since I used one. Let me switch. I think I'll go ahead and check my stream, make sure it's still streaming while I'm waiting on this. Okay. I guess the end of it's beginning. It's heating up, but nothing's coming out yet. You can see the. Oh, there's a little bit. Okay. Yeah. May not be ready yet. Yeah, I think it's working now. I think that's enough. I'm not going to do the other one because it looks like it's still soldered good and hanging down there good. Now, I'm going to keep that away from me. Yeah, let's don't put it up there. If I put my legs under the desk, I'll knock it off. They did deburr that hole. They usually don't, most companies don't do that. They actually did deburr that hole where those wires go through there. Because there's no grommet in there. I was thinking, man, that can cut those wires up. But it's actually deburred and it's not sharp. Okay, we got you back on there. I don't think it's plugged in. Yeah, it don't stick anymore. Tries to come on, but it can't. Now, what's the switch been the whole problem the whole time, and I just didn't figure it out. But it seems to act like it should. I don't have it up in the right place. Light comes on. Won't run. Hold it in till the light goes out. That's what it should do. And that won't do anything unless it was running. If it was running, you know, you could reboot it with the reset switch. Now, it was sticking, like I said earlier, but it's not doing that anymore. And whenever I did, use a screwdriver or my test light there as a jumper or my multimeter amp meter, it all got the same results. It did just like that. It was completing the circuit, but it couldn't start. I wasn't thinking about trying to use the amp meter as completing the circuit, but that's what it would do. After I thought about it, after I saw it happen. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to spin it around. It's plugged into 100 cables. Now I can spin it around. Whoops. Knocking my... Let's switch my camera. Just do it like that. You can see pretty good. Battery box is kind of in the way there. Got lots of stuff out that I can't use now. Ran into my mic. Okay, let's see. Just loosen them all up. They weren't very tight. They're not even tight enough to use the ratchet on my screwdriver. Use this little one. I think the tireder my cameras get, the more the delay gets in the stream. When you see what I'm doing, compared to, and especially when I'm talking. I usually keep a bottle to put my screws in, or when I'm in here, a lot of times I just put them up there on the rack because it's got a lip on it. It won't let stuff roll off. I'm not gonna unhook all the cables. I'm just gonna open it up if I can and look, or I might just look through the vents. I don't think I'll be able to see much that way though. It's brand new looking. It's never been opened. It's harder to mess with them when you don't unplug them, but it's also takes a bit of time to do all that. So I'm going to try to... Yeah, those are usually tight when they've never been taken off before. And they can strip on you. I usually need to be like where you can press hard down on. Let me get it where I can press down on it. That's been on very recently, so I'm not touching the inside of that. Put that screwdriver down in there where I can't pick it up and point with it. I just glanced at it. I'm going to get the camera and my magnifying glass and look it over and show it. Didn't see anything obvious. Get this just want to kind of hold it. I think it's kind of easier for me to control it like that. That was pretty weird looking. See that yellowish stuff underneath? I think that's what that dark area used to look like. I don't think it's burned. I thought it was for a minute almost. I think it's just turned, maybe with heat, but there's another one that looks that way right over there. See that one? I don't really remember seeing that before. But, you know, I mean, they could have got so hot that they burned up, and that's why I think that yellowish, it's not, you know, hot glue. It's some special stuff that stands up to heat that they use. You see that in all of them, but that one looks that way too. If it was like those two close to each other, I mean, but if those were all on the same, they're so spread apart, I wouldn't think they were on the same circuit, you know, the same trace on that board in there. Let's see, I thought I saw something. I don't see a single capacitor that looks like it's swelled or leaked or anything. And that's usually the first thing that goes bad, and call it bad cap syndrome, you know. As a matter of fact, during these years was when there were so many of them that were made that were bad. And like the early to mid 2000s. I kind of got a little better after that, but you can still get some bad ones. I had an E-machine somebody I worked on for somebody. Well, I ended up, that's how come I built him a 6-core AMD. It was an AMD E-machines dual core. And it had bad cap syndrome, and it had several bad ones in it. Anyway, I kept the parts, and then they gave me the parts, and I bought a new motherboard, an ASRock motherboard, and I use it. It's my only Windows machine now. I got Windows 7 on it. I put 64-bit on it, and it can't really run it because it only has 2 gig of RAM, and that's the minimum for 64-bit Windows 7, and they mean it. It's not the minimum. You really can't do it. Can't do anything with the machine. Those big caps. I have several bad. I messed up 2 or 3 power supplies that were good. Trying to build my power supply amp that I had 2 car amps and 2 computer power supplies to run them, and I wanted it to also. I had them. What I did is I put them together in series to make 24 volts, so that I could have a power supply get anything from 3.5 volts to 24 volts. But I was using my old. That's when I didn't have the. I do like my new multimeter. I was getting mad a while ago, but I didn't have nothing but my old Radio Shack analog multimeter, and I was trying to check things, and they have really long leads on them, which I like, but you do have to be careful not to short them against anything, and I let that happen twice and blew out 2 of them. Once you have to ground lift one of the power supplies to wire them up that way, and once you ground lift them, they blow out now. You don't give it one chance. They blow out in a heartbeat. Here's that switch. If you have never seen it, you know, you can stick a little screwdriver. Sometimes they're where you can stick your thumbnail in there or something. They're bigger. And when you had to have a little screwdriver, and if you move it one way, it'll go to 230, and if you move it that way, it's 115. And you see, you don't change the connector, but then they have a connector like that on one end, and then I've seen them in videos recently. I never knew what they looked like really, but I see, you know, people over in Europe and England, even in England, you know, making videos, and they'll show their connectors, and they're big. They look like a dryer connector here. They're 230 volts. They're not as big as a dryer connector, but they're kind of made like that. They're laid out kind of like that. But it's actually pretty clean and everything. The only thing that looks even a little bit odd, I don't know what that chip is. I've always wondered what all they have in them now that I've started learning about these things a little bit. Can't read it. That might be red. If it was straight, to get that close, I can't go at it at any other angle. If it was straight, now I could hold still. But you know, once you mess them up, I mean, they got so many little parts. They're almost like another little computer on their own with as many parts as they got. I mean, as far as trying to diagnose and fix things, I can replace the plug. I've done that before. Replace the fan. I've done that several times. I've never tried to even replace the capacitors or anything because all these other little diodes and everything else under the sun, you know, transistors and everything. I don't even know what everything is. So I was starting to learn, and just as soon as I kind of got a lot of it where I was, oh yeah, I know what that is, then I kind of quit messing with it for a while, and just doesn't take a couple, 3 months, and I start forgetting. I have to do stuff every day to remember it. But that right there does look odd. I don't know. I really don't. If that is a real sign of damage to that, or it's just the way that it got when it was, you know, this coating that they put on there just turned that way because they got warming up and not burn. I mean, it almost makes you think it's burned up. But when you look at it on the magnifying glass, you know, it is. I don't know what it's looking like on the video there, you know, as far as looking like being burned up. But I decided I didn't really think it was burnt. But when I go to watch the video back later, maybe that'll actually help me a little bit. I might have a better view on the video than it looks like on that display. Sometimes that is the case. That's heat shrink. I didn't want to touch it before because the caps. Well, really, you're only going to get hit. Well, I mean, if you touch down close to where they're connected, if you make a circuit out of any two things, but if you touch the bottoms of those caps, like I've taken them completely apart, you have to do that to ground lift them, and even if they've sat around for a few days, they still may get you. Yeah, that's heat shrink, and that yellow stuff is still soft. And most of the time when I get one open, it's old, it's hard. Yeah, that yellow stuff is softest I've ever seen it. Yeah, that's kind of an odd little board there. I don't even remember if I've really ever. I don't believe I have ever seen any power supply with a little bodged on board like that. Extra board added on like that. It's a whole little circuit on its own. It's doing something. So I don't know. I forgot to stick a multimeter on it before I kind of meant to do that before I took it out. You know, let it be set there with the green light on and see if I get any voltage on any of the power connectors that are open and easy to test. I should do that. Maybe I'll do. I'm gonna put it back together just to make sure I don't shock myself on it, or blow it out or anything. There's some of that hot glue. Trying to throw that away, and I felt when I turned my head, I kind of brought my hand. I thought I threw it away, and I brought my hand back and turned my head, and something hit me in the ear, and it was that piece of hot glue. It just stuck to my finger and then slung off. That's weird. Okay, let's put the lid back on that. kind of odd for it to be looking so new and clean and not run. Ow! No signs of wear and tear, damage, or anything. And it's really odd is how it just booted right up and ran. Somebody wrote or scratched some letters in there. Oh, it's like a stamp or something. Yeah, it's kind of worn. And oddly in there, I don't know, maybe that was part of the... It looks like overspray from painting. That's the only thing that I'm not quite sure what that is. It could be just exactly what it is, but I mean, I don't see it on any of the components, so it's like it was during the making of the case. Maybe there was primer sprayed on the, the rest of the case or something. And then it got in there somehow. There's a little bit there, a little bit there. I don't know. I just don't see how anybody could have done that, like had it out in their garage or whatever, spraying stuff and got it on there. There's some on the front too, though, without getting it on all the components, since the motherboard and everything. But it's all around it. It's overspray. It's what it is. And it looks like gray primer. What it looks like, or white paint. It's not very white, but I don't think that has anything to do with any of the problems or anything, but you ever seen them just after you take things apart and put them back together, they run? Didn't try to start on its own yet. I didn't plug in the Ethernet or the audio, which I had all that plugged in the first time when it ran. But okay, I thought I'd wait a minute and see if it tried to start on its own like it has been doing, but it's not doing that. Nope, just the same old thing. Green light comes on, nothing else happens. Reset won't do anything. I've tried it with and without pretty much every, like the hard drive. Like if the hard drive was hanging things up. Well, those other older Pentium 3s, they wouldn't come on. They would just not do anything, and the hard drive jumpers were wrong. But this one ran, so it can't be that. And that's why I went ahead and unplugged the hard drive, unplugged the power. And usually almost always when you unplug the power, that does, you can leave the cables plugged in and it won't matter even if there's something wrong. But I can unplug it. Doesn't make any difference. Heard a little bit of a noise in there. Probably trying to read the... I haven't tried that. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, see, you can't. It's not getting. I don't think it's sending any power out. It's not getting that far because you can't open the DVD drive. Let me get my meter anyway, and I got the green light on, and I'll try some of these connectors and see if they're getting anything. Just hunting. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think they get power to them unless they just start running. Yeah. So, but you do have power. The power light on the motherboard is on right up in there. can't. My leads are too short to go up in there. Anything else, like, well, up into that. The main power for the motherboard. Trying to check it. I can't. I won't go. They're pretty deep up in there to get to those connectors. There's really not any others but just that one that are free for me to try to check. I went in and put the power supply back in there because it's just that way it's not, pulling around on the cables trying to break things. The only other thing I can think of right now is to try another power supply. It seems like everything else is okay. Even that switch seems okay now. And if I was able to have jumped it with something, screwdriver for whatever, any of that stuff, if that would have made it run, then I would have said, yeah, that switch is bad. And inside, but since it ran the first time off the bat, that's really what's got me puzzled. I do have that different memory in it still, don't I? Might as well lay it down. You can't press that memory in with it. It'll stay. Well, I guess it was just couldn't see nothing, could you? Okay, I was just kept trying. Unplugging the USB and stuff, plugging it in different places. Put the front cover on. It's hard to match the button with. went ahead and put my KVM switch with it. I didn't think about that this whole time. But I didn't have the KVM switch on it when it started the first time. But I'd have it on there now so that it can read make sure it can read my monitor and the switch is supposed to put out like an emulated signal so that things will still work. Yeah, make any difference. But with the switch back on there, switch cover back on there, I can hold the button in without it. My fingers are sore from pushing on that button. Oh, you could have watched. I was watching the green light inside, and it's the one on the front. Huh. Yeah, let's see, what did I do? Okay, it ran, I hard shut it down, and I did put a USB in there, trying to boot it to that, and it never has booted since, but I don't see how, unless there was something wrong with this front USB connector, and it broke something. Usually it wouldn't. I mean, if you ruined something, you'd usually smell something, see a little magic smoke, you know, you wouldn't just ruin it without any noise or anything. But I don't think so. I mean, I did look at everything really close. I don't see anything that looks burnt or anything. I have the original memory and one of my other sticks in there now. Might as well take out my other stick. Because if I decide to put it back on the garage and quit messing with it, I don't want that in there wasting away for nothing. I did think about sometimes you can take the memory out just to, well, I mean, sometimes it kind of resets things, but just see if it'll beep. Doesn't beep at you like most machines do when there's no memory in it whatsoever now, and it's not beeping at me. So there's something. So I wouldn't expect it to beep then. I'm gonna unplug it. I'll put this other one in here by itself, the one that's hard to get in there, or is the other one the one that's hard to get in there? Let's see. I gotta lay it down. Okay, light came on the board, but not on the front yet. Okay, now the speaker's just telling me what's going on. The only thing I haven't done is plug in PS2 keyboard. But since it booted the first time, you know, just on the USB, and it worked, it was working in the login screen, the USB keyboard was, I wouldn't think that that would be the problem. Of course, I always usually do that just to make sure And the one I have in here is plugged into the blue FIC, I think. It's the only one I have in here. No, there's two of them. They're plugged into. I think one's plugged into that AS Rock. It's the lights on it. I remember this. For some reason it stays on even when the machine's off. And then the one on my blue FIC, I don't know why I have one on that AS Rock. I don't think it needs it. It's a newer machine. It's a dual core. That's pretty hard to get to, though. Let's see if I move. Since I have it all out, I kind of want to exhaust everything I can think of before I just give up. I guess if I was to get that in one of those and plug it in, that would tell me that answer, because instead of having to put it away and then get it back out again. Okay, let me get it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'll just leave that like it is. And put my little box up there. Let's see. Yeah, now I can roll my table around so that I can get to that somehow. And then just make this shorter so I can put it up here. Okay, let me do that. Okay, well, that took long enough, didn't it? Okay, now I don't have the USB plugged in. Nope. But I do have the PS2 keyboard plugged in. Just a mean thing. I didn't think it would, but I keep forgetting. I keep looking at that light. I'm worried about that. I took that off that AS Rock. I caught the AS Rock because I put an AS Rock motherboard in it, but I'm wondering if it needs it. I remember now, I don't have anything plugged in. I didn't have anything plugged into it but that keyboard and an Ethernet cable because I run it from remote desktop. Now, I hope it boots up without a keyboard. That could have been why it was plugged in there. But that's the memory stick that was in there the first time it booted, but also blue screened. Oh, no, that's not it. That's my other memory stick. Yeah, so that didn't make any difference. And here's, I've done this before, but here's the other one. It's the one that's hard to get in there. That wasn't so hard to get in there. I wonder if there's some. I haven't looked down at the teeth in the memory slots. I wonder if there's something that was in there that came loose, something that got in there. It could even be a piece of the teeth or something that shorted it out or something. See that light. I can't see that light with the cover on it anymore. There's a good spot for my keyboard down there. Since I have my tray toolbox closed right now. Let's see. I know, I suppose it's always possible that there's a screw behind the motherboard shorting something out. I don't see anything. Let's switch over to that little camera. See if I can make a look down through there. guess the only way I'd ever really get close to it is to, I don't know, that might be close enough. I really can't tell. Of course, the wires aren't helping any. But let's try and move them over a little bit. When I looked through my magnifying glass, I couldn't see really good, but it didn't really look like anything was wrong in there. Most of them, the back cover comes off too. I don't think this one actually does. Oh, I'm got that other camera on now. I was banging on it to see if a screw came loose. No, that side's riveted on. No screws on that side. So if I really thought there was something, in there, you can't know without looking. I've had stuff be behind there before, somebody, me or somebody had lost a screw at some point and didn't even know it. Or, someone else would not. I'd just leave it or not even know that it would short it out. Or they didn't tell me because sometimes computers have several owners, So, 79.3 degrees in this room. 84 outside. It shouldn't be that hot in here. The air conditioner's running right now. Can't believe it's so much cooler in here. Maybe somebody turned the air conditioner up. It's not running as much. I bet that's what happened because it was really cool at night lately. I bet that's it. I bet it's turned way up. Keep forgetting that gets done. I like to program them and just not touch them. Let them do automatic. But I could have went and checked on that all night. I didn't even dawn on me till just now. Okay, so I've been blasting in 73, 74, 75 degree temperatures for a couple of weeks in here. Well, a week. I was outside working before that for 2 weeks in the heat. But when it came in, it was nice. Of course, anything is nice compared to 95 to 100 degrees. But the next thing I would do is try another power supply. Those things go out all the time, and you can't really, the easiest way to tell is put another one in there. And I didn't hear nothing come loose out of the motherboard, so it's probably, if something was shorted, you probably would get some evidence of something like that. It'd be awful odd that it shorted just the right thing to make it not run but not damage something and burn something up, So, where's that memory stick? I'll put the one that came in it back in it until if it won't even try to come on, then I think I put one in. Might as well lay it down. thing I haven't done. I kind of didn't want to because it ran before. But, you know, if the BIOS had some weird setting in it, you could take the battery out and it should reset to the defaults. Or it might, well, if it don't go that far, then you can't get to the BIOS. But anyway, if it did reset it to the defaults and that made it boot, that would be good. Because before I had it plugged in, and I do right now, but so it didn't lose the BIOS. So unplug it for a minute, probably instantly, but BIOS will lose its memory. At least most of them do that, and go back to the defaults. Then I'll put the battery back in it. Plug it in. I plug it in first, and put the battery back in it. I don't know if it really matters, but. Actually, I think putting the battery in might be. Well, it tried to start right off, like it had done before, but that's all. Like it did the first time I plugged it in. Yeah, with it laying down, I can't see my green light on the front for nothing. I think the purple wire is the power good wire or something like that. When I was setting up I almost had that stuff memorized. I did for a while when I had to learn about a whole bunch of different types of power supplies to learn how to wire my different types up together to make them. So you've got to trick them into thinking they got a motherboard, kind of, basically, in order to get them to. They won't start up without that power good signal and all that stuff. You got two signals they got to have. Okay, I give up. I don't know what's wrong with that thing. Other than the power supply. I haven't tried that. I fiddled with more stuff. I don't even know what I just did. Just started doing stuff. But, I was really excited when I turned it on. Does that tell me what? Yeah, Intel Celeron. Right on the front. Very bottom. Intel Celeron. Windows XP. Gateway. There's a long number. I didn't see any kind of... I guess that's its ID number. It's a scanning tag and along just a number. No like model looking number or anything. I don't see any other tags that were taken off. I looked all around for... I looked on the back out there. Thought... But I just can't get over. I was all excited. It booted right up. And I thought, well, it just probably has viruses or something. Then when it crashed, I thought, oh, well, maybe the memory's bad or something. But yeah, it's a Celeron. It's not a... So it's going to be slower than that Pentium down there on the floor, or my Pentium 4 that I have down there with 2 gig of RAM. So it's probably not like, it's probably 2 gigahertz and more, I'm betting, since where I got it from. Because Jeff was always helping people with their computers, and he was like me, he didn't like, slow computers, so he wouldn't advise them to get, if he got them one, found them one, or advised them on buying a new one, he wouldn't tell them to get anything under 2 gigahertz, period. Not ever since they made them, since they came out with them. But, and he's big on AMDs. He likes AMDs. This is Intel. I liked them too. I wanted them back when they were real expensive, and then they finally got to a better price, and then I didn't really have any money to get one, and then I almost bought me an 8-core 8350, and built one, but I didn't. Last couple of years. And now they're not making so many desktops anymore. I don't really want a laptop though. I need a big screen to see what I'm doing, to read. I don't carry them around much, I have 2 laptops at work, and another one that would work if it had it has a bad screen, and it has a bad hard drive, but it works. You can use it for a desktop if you want. Plug it. If it has a VGA output, just plug them into the VGA. I'm on a KVM switch here, but I don't have a hard drive for it. They make a good server too. They don't really handle running all the time that well. They get hot. If you let them run for months at a time, then even if they handle it, then they're going to get all clogged up, and you're going to have to be taking them apart, cleaning them all the time. So I can clean that IBM about once a year. Once every 6 months is really bad, it needs it. But I've let it go a year before, I think. I've ran it for 2 or 3 years now. Well, let's see. 23, 24, 25, 26. Fedora 23 was brand new just about when I put that on there. 23, 24, 25, 26. 26 just came out, so that's about 3 years. And this one I'm making my stream on is Fedora. I did them both with Fedora 23, right, not too long after it came out. And I think I'll go ahead and go with. I was going to do 25, but now a couple more months have went by, and 26 is out now. I downloaded it the other day. On these machines that can handle it. Well, that IBM, there's not actually. It's a 32-bit machine. There's not a 32-bit Fedora 26. I'll probably have to go with the Bane on it. Probably still going to use it for my server. That's the other thing I was looking at all these machines for, to see if one of them was powerful enough but quiet enough to make a server, another server, not newer, but another server for me. I replaced this one. There's only one thing I don't like about the IBM, and it's got a funky acting onboard video card. It won't work with my new router. I have to plug it into an old router and go through 2 routers to make it be my server to the internet. I don't like that. I tried putting more video cards in it. I tried making it like be a little mini router with like 3 video cards in it. And I couldn't get that working right. Every time you'd reboot it, you get it working, and then when you'd reboot it, or if if it had a power loss, if you were to have a power loss, it would get it all out of whack. And I couldn't. I think I tried turning off the onboard video card, and it wouldn't. I don't remember now if I turned it off or not, or I just didn't want to, or what. But anyway, I just ended up taking all those other 2. I think you could only get 2 more in it, or maybe that's all I had. I think that all I could get in it, all I had slots for was 2 more not video cards, network cards. Was I saying video cards that whole time? Network cards, NIC cards. And I did get it working. It was kind of hard to figure it out because I'd never done it before. It was actually pretty easy in Fedora. I was making it harder than it was. Just did it in the regular network settings. No command line work. You don't have to do command line, and well, you kind of do in Debian now. You didn't used to, but in Fedora you still don't for most things. But it's crazy. All the way up to Fedora 14, you could do almost everything without bothering in the command line, without messing around in there and trying to get all that stuff typed right. But year by year, they're taking away. Those great little GUI apps are disappearing that did all those things. I never did get remote desktop working in Fedora 25 when I had it installed. I installed it on that laptop, and I wanted to make a video of it. But I can't do it on the laptop because it's not powerful enough, so I was going to do remote desktop. I spent 3 days, full days, got it all showing that it was working, and I could control the machine, but you couldn't see it over here on this machine. Couldn't see what was happening. So I finally got tired of it and gave up. And I read, I kept reading that everybody was having trouble with it. So it works in Fedora 23 just fine. And I had to go through all this command line stuff to do it too. In Fedora 23, I just installed, I think it's KRFB, and turn that on, and it works. You can turn on remote desktop on and off with KRFB. There was another one that used to be native to Genome 2 that would do it, and of course that's with Genome 3 that's gone. But I think they just started. Well, let's see. I don't know. I'm off on a whole other thing, but anyway, I don't know why I started talking about it. I don't know why I haven't just taken off and gone, but I just I don't know. I kind of wanted to sum up my thoughts and sum up the video, but I'm talking about other things, so I must be too tired to do that. That little light's still staring at me. It looks like a little robot over there. All those robot movies. There's always one or two little lights up on the top, and usually they were like that little LED circles, shining at you. That's what it looks like. Wall-E kind of reminds me of Wall-E. I'm sitting there on the top of that tripod. That's a useful thing. It's it's only good up close. Of course, you could get a better one. It's not a really high. It'll do 1200 by 1600 or something like that, but it looks grainy, and it really makes everything zoom in really close. I mean, actually, in some places I could have used that today, like I couldn't get close enough and looking inside the computer because it was on the tripod. I didn't want to take it off because I made a whole video with it in my hand, and it's nothing but, like I said, psychedelic video. I mean, it's just going every which way so fast I couldn't really bear to watch it, so I was just doing a test of it, and I didn't want to fiddle around with putting it on a tripod at that time, the very first time I really turned it on. And so I just want to left it on the tripod all day, even though some places I really couldn't get to that I wanted to. I knew that if I took it off, then it'd be off, and it took me like 10 minutes to get it on there and get it working. There's my video from, oh, okay. It's not as far behind. I thought, well, that's far behind, but it's not as far behind as it looked like. Now it's starting to show. Oh, I see. I don't know what it's doing, but anyway, it's still working. Oh, 3 hours and 28 minutes? My gosh, and I already did a 2-hour video before that today. Didn't realize. Okay. Well, I thought I was awfully tired. Okay. Well, I ought to get my schedule turned back around now. So, I don't think I remembered that I could do that a minute ago when I was talking away. Just sit there, left it on that other machine, I think. Looking at the machine. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll do this again tomorrow after I sleep, tonight, whatever it's going to be. Maybe I'll go. If I'm going to try another power supply, I'll have to probably just pull one out of. Well, you got to make sure it's got the right plugs though. Pentium 3 to a Pentium 4 class Celeron 4. Celeron would be. Those power supplies might not even plug into this motherboard. You have to look at it. I have just taken them and laid them side when I had room on a table somewhere, like out in the garage or something. Well, I've done it in here before. Lay them side by side and leave it in the machine, but plug it into the other one, just to see if it'll work. But it's kind of a pain, really. It's kind of more trouble than just taking it out. Some of them are harder to get out. This one was really easy. But I do need to make sure I look before I leave on that, because if it doesn't have the right connectors, then it won't work at all. Won't even power it up or anything. It has to have the right, there's different, some of them have more and less pins than others. Like I do remember, for instance, on my, well, I think I do, my Pentium 4, I think it has 2 more pins. Some of them have 2 more pins that you can clip on or off of the little standard, what they used to call the standard, however many pins I forgot now, for the main motherboard connector. I don't know if that's the one, but I have one that I've used it in different machines. Used it to see if the machine, put it in the machine to make that machine work. Make sure that the power supply was the problem, because it would go either way. I don't know if it's in the Pentium 4 now that I think about it, but some of them need 2 more pins. But I think it's usually the. Actually, I don't remember. I don't know if it's the Pentium 4s that needed 2 more pins and the Pentium 3s, or if it's the dual cores. Seems like that the dual cores started actually using less because they use less power overall. So now I don't remember. That's a good time to quit when you're too tired to remember stuff that you pretty well think you know. Used to know yesterday. All right. Got all that crap to pick up. Well, it won't take that long if I just get with it. If it's sitting here thinking about everything. But if I think about it now, I won't lay there awake thinking about it when I'm trying to go to sleep, maybe. You think? I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Well, I don't like calling anything a fail, but I usually make some kind of progress before I quit on something. Started out with promising progress, and then went downhill and stayed downhill the whole rest of the day. Never got it to do anything else. And I'd smell like old computer dust now. I can just feel it and smell it. So one thing I don't like about working on old computers, I like fixing them and making them run again, but I cannot stand that old nasty old dust. And it's been, really I can't feel any. When I didn't see any dust in it. I blew those things out. Now that other one I had, when I was having trouble with it, somehow I realized there was dust in the fins. So I think I just decided to take off decided to take off the CPU cooler, and it was just clogged with more dust that this would have never came out if I hadn't took it off. Of course, this one never ran long enough to get hot or anything, so that's not. I mean, it could be if it is clogged up. That's not what's wrong with it now. But all the rest of it, I didn't run into pockets of dust that I missed or anything when I cleaned it up before. But unless something else comes into my head between now and when I work on it again, so I got some strange that can't talk. The power supply would be what I'll have to look into. Could have been what it was, and I should have done that from the beginning. But it didn't seem like it at first. I thought it was a switch. I mean, there was something wrong with the switch. It wasn't acting right. But I guess I fixed it, fiddling with it, at least for a while. I don't know, since when I spread out those soldered connectors and it started working perfectly, I thought, well, maybe if I hot glue it apart where they can't go back together again, the internals will stay like where they're supposed to be, and it'll be all right. We'll see. Okay. It must be the sign that I really and truly had to stop talking now. Okay, that's done. Well, I'll work on it again. But if, I mean, it's not like what I'm looking for mostly. I think I may have already decided. Yeah, this is a Celeron. So of what I've got, I'm looking for something to set up temporarily for my mom to use while I reformat her computer for her. It's a dual core with 2 gig of RAM, and hopefully if it won't run for Door 26, I may end up putting the Bane on it, but it's far cry better than any of these Pentium 4s or anything. But I can put I'll probably put the Bane 8 on one of these Pentium 4s, because the Celerons, they're just a little bit slower, enough to notice, than a Pentium 4. So unless, one was 1.5 gigahertz, and the other one was 2.4 gigahertz, and the Celeron was 2.4, then that would be faster. But yeah, so that other one over there on the floor, what is that, an HP? Yeah, that HP was, I think if it had some more RAM in it, it doesn't have much RAM in it. But it's got 3 memory slots, so I could put 3 512s in it if I want to. Especially if this one don't run, I don't have to worry about putting anything in it. And that would be enough, I think. Talking more, all right. But my old Pentium 4, its only problem, it's got 2 gig of RAM in it. Its only problem is it's got too new of a Fedora on it that's too big for it, needs too many resources. But with the Bane 8, I think it'd be just fine. Probably wouldn't realize that it was a Pentium 4 when you were using it. I don't know what happened. When I got serious there for a little bit, I got more dust on my shirt or something. I haven't been coughing like this all day. I just feels like it's blowing up on me or something. Like I'm breathing it. All right. And I can smell that old dust smell, like I said. All right, it's done. I'm going to go now. Bye-bye.